So when I got to the event, I can feel the energy changing. I felt something cold running through my body. And I remember telling my husband, I don't know why, but in this place, it feels like it's not welcoming me. I feel like it's telling me to go or to change something. So as we went through the process of check-in and everything, we ran into different issues with the room. So we finally got the room, we got in and everything. And we went to this meeting at first with our mentor, and we let it all out. What was our problems, what we were feeling, what is our struggles. And so our mentor did the best that he could to guide us about business, about our mindset. But it was something in me that it was telling me, you're done. You cannot continue this. You gotta be on your own. And so it was like it was pushing me to speak. And I know one of my traumas, it was that I'm afraid to speak. I was afraid to defend myself, especially men. When men are in leadership, I was so scared to say, no, I disagree with that, or no, you cannot treat me like that. And so I felt like at that moment, it was my test of saying, do you really release your trauma? Do you really recoup your voice back? And so at that moment, something happened with the group where I was shaking because something it was being said about me that it was I felt that it was not nice. So I felt this adrenaline, this frustration, and I wanted to say something, but at the same time, the fear kicked in. So as I'm sitting there, I'm holding onto the chair and I'm like, God, please do not let me speak right now because I am not happy. But if you want me to speak, please allow me to speak with confidence and without hurting other people. Allow me to speak my truth, not because I'm angry, but because I can no longer take negative comments from other people and feel bullied by them without me standing up. But I don't want to stand up with anger. I don't want to be calling these people bad words or anything like that, like how I used to be. So it was like that moment I was shaking. And I remember putting my hands so tight, closing my eyes, and saying, God, if this is my moment to show you that I have worked on myself and I release that trauma, then call my name. Call me to speak. And as soon as I was done saying that, like instantly, one of the people at the table said, Karen, what do you think about that? And it was like, oh my gosh, really? The creator is calling me to speak. And I said, about what? And that person was like, about what is being said at the table about you. So I had to regain my confidence. And I said, I believe that what you guys are saying is wrong. And I also believe that I open up so you guys can see the things that you have not released yet. And you guys also know what it was my trauma. And you guys are activating it now. And I believe that it should be a little bit more respect in confidence because I feel that I have been giving you that respect to you as professionals, but I feel like I'm not receiving that back. But it's okay. I don't need that because I understand that we can only give what we have. And that's what I have for you, respect, because that's what I have for me. And I understand that you don't have that for me because you don't even have it for yourself. So that's okay. You don't need to apologize. You don't need to tell me anything. But I'm telling you right now, I would not tolerate to be bullied by two men. I would not tolerate that. And I stopped talking. The whole table went silent. And in my body, I can feel the healing going through my body. I felt like my heart, it was pumping so hard. My whole body was shaking. My head, it was so warm. I felt like I have never felt before. I was not angry. I was not frustrated. I was just feeling that feeling of, I finally did it. I did it. I stood up for myself. And not just to one person, but to two people. And not just to any people, but to two men. Because I was afraid of them. I was afraid to standing up to a man. And I finally did it. So I was not saying in myself, like, oh, I won the battle. I finally said what I needed to say. It was more like I finally let my voice be heard. I finally put boundaries. I finally say it's not okay the way you're treating me. And when I was done with that, I was integrating all those pieces and it was painful. Physically, it was painful, and emotionally, it was painful because it was two people that I really care for, and I still do. As humans, is God's creation. And as I was going through the integration, I told my husband, I wanted to thank them. I wanted to tell them, thank you. Thank you for activating my womb. Not because it was okay what you did, because by you behaving the way you're behaving is showing me that you have not healed yourself yet, that you're still acting as a child. You're still acting as somebody who is not healed completely. You're just pretending, but you're not healed because you're still afraid. You still feel that you got to put others down for you to feel higher, to feel better, to feel seen. And so that shows me that you're still working on yourself, but in a point that you want to work on the outside. You don't really want to address what is inside. But I wanted to thank you that it's still, even by you trying to destroy me, by you trying to say negative things about me, it was good. Because the Bible says that God will turn what is meant for evil, it will turn it to good. And at that moment, it finally landed as the verse of the Bible that it says that sometimes bad people will try to make a hole in for someone else, and the person who made the hole is the one that it falls in it. Because I felt like that person who tried to make me look a certain way, in a negative way, it was the one who fell in it. And I was okay with that because I was like, finally, if that would have never happened, I would have never understood that I was done. That my time with mentorship, that my time with following somebody, that my time with guidance, it was over. God, it was calling me to now be guided by Him. to now start walking so close to him, to build a relationship, to really start looking into myself, looking into me, and listening to his voice. So when that event continued on, because we still had more time to do stuff, to learn, as the person was teaching, different people were teaching, I felt like checked out, because all those things that that person was teaching, it was something that I already worked through it. It was something that I already have forgiven so many people, not just in letters. I have forgiven people who hurt me deeply, and physically calling them, seeing them, and saying, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I put so much on you, and I expect you to act a certain way towards me, and that created pain because you cannot hold that much weight. The only one who can create safety, who can guide me, is the Creator. I'm sorry for trying to put all that weight on you. And at that moment, I wrote an apology for that person and for the mentor, for 3 mentors. I wrote an apology saying, I'm sorry for trying to make you something that you're not. I'm sorry for putting it on you the weight of the Creator. I'm sorry for trying to worship the door that God showed me to go through it, and I wanted you to come with me through my whole journey. When God it was calling me just to go through the door, and then after that, it was walking close to the Creator, not close to the mentor. And because of my fear, because I felt like I wasn't good enough, because I felt that I needed somebody to hold my hand, to guide me to every single step, I was pulling all these people along saying, I need a mentor. I need another strategy. I need people to help me to see what am I doing wrong. I need people to help me to get out of this negative mindset. Instead of turning to the Creator, I was turning for everything that I needed to the mentor. Like a person who has a headache and constantly calling the doctor. When sometimes the headache is just stress. Stop stressing out, drink more water, go for a walk, and that will go away. But some people, when they get a headache or something like that, they right away want to go to the hospital or call a doctor. And sometimes it's not that. Sometimes you got to work it out on your own. So I was doing that. I was dependent upon people. I was still drinking milk and not eating the food. The food that God it was giving me. God it was showing me the things that I needed to do. But because I was too afraid, I was not taking action. I was waiting on a mentor. I was waiting on somebody to give me the okay. I was waiting on somebody to tell me this is right, this is wrong, don't do this, do that. Even though sometimes those teachings were conflicted with what God it was showing me. But I still followed those steps. And when I failed, I was saying, maybe I didn't do it right. Maybe something I'm doing wrong. Well, I need to call back this person to help me fix it. But it was not that. It was not that I was doing something wrong. It was that the things needed to collapse so I can finally get on my knees. I can finally call the Creator. I can finally have a relationship with Him and asking, what is the next step? What should I do? So when I realized that, something that I did, my whole mindset shift, because I had a dream. And in that dream, I remember I was in so much pain emotionally because I felt left out. I felt bullied. I felt embarrassed. They were trying to embarrass me. They were trying to reject me. That's how I felt. And I was in so much pain. And I remember crying and telling my husband, I don't want to be here anymore. I feel that nobody likes me. I feel like everybody's bullying me. I feel left out. And I feel that the person that I'm paying to help me go through my process, that person is in more pain than me and is actually avoiding me. So that told me another lesson. The other lesson is that when you don't feel enough, or when you feel alone and you try to make yourself to have companionship by paying to be part of a club, part of somebody who can be there for you, even by paying, you still get rejected. You're still not enough. Not because the situation is like that, but because you got to work it out on yourself first. Before you can do anything like that, work it out on yourself, and I promise that you will not have to pay so much money to be accepted. You will not have to be part of a certain club to have a group of people who support you. You will not have to do any of those things, because when the creator starts working on you, it will bring you everything you need. And I experienced that. And I realized that I pay so much money to be part of different groups. And these groups, they're drowned in themselves in so much pain. And you can physically and emotionally see it, how they lose control of themselves, of their emotions. And I'm like, now I feel even worse. I don't even want to be here. And so I told my husband, I said, I'm in so much pain. I just want to go home. I want to quit everything. I don't want to do anything anymore, because I did not think that having a mentor or being part of a group, it will be like this. It's kind of like we're trying to race against each other. We're trying to perpetrate who can do more things, or who has more power, or who is better than who. And so I told my husband, this is so unhealthy. This is giving me anxiety. And so that night, I stay in my room, I pray, and I remember I had, like, I don't know, 3 hours of crying, 3 hours of pouring my heart out, of telling the creator how many things I have done, how many things they hurt, and that I don't want to keep going, and how I feel that I've been treated. And on the end, I said, God, I don't want to do this anymore. Please, just take this pain away from me. I do not hate these people. I understand that they have their own pain, but help me not to lash out on anybody. Help me give them grace, the same grace that you give me. Help me give it to them. And please, Lord, I want my flight to be changed for tomorrow morning. Please let it happen. So my husband tried to do all he could to change the plans so we can come home. But that night, God came into the dream and it spoke to me. And he said, no, you're going to stay, and you're going to feel this pain, and you're going to endure this pain. And I want you to love that person. And I want you to give them grace. And I want you to sit still. My peace will be with you, because today it will be your graduation. And when I woke up, I told my husband, I said, God spoke to me and we can't go. We got to stay, because something is going to happen today and I can't run away just because it hurts. So I'm going to stay. So my husband said, okay, then we will stay. So we stayed. More things got going on that day. And I felt even more isolated. I felt pushed down. I felt talked down. I felt like I was in a group of so many people, but at the same time, I was alone. And I remember sitting at that table and holding my tears back and holding my husband's hand. Thank God for my partner, and saying to him, I don't think I can take it anymore. I see how people are treating me. I don't know if it's just me, but I don't understand. This is too much for me to bear. Uh, and my husband said, just relax, just take deep breath. And I sat there for the whole day. We went on breaks, we did work and things like that. And at the end, a man came close to me and said, Karen, I'm struggling with something very, very deep, and I don't know how. I think I'm going crazy. I don't know how to understand this. I already asked the mentor, I already asked other people, but I still cannot find the answer. This is a pain that I cannot take anymore. And so we went out and we spoke. And as we were talking, I was like, hey, this is the reason why you're in pain. And so I did all the exercises that I would normally do for my clients. I did it for him. And he broke down crying. And he said, oh my gosh, after so many years looking for what was my problem, why do I feel stuck? Oh my gosh. And he just went on and on and on and on about how did he not know? How did he miss that? Why the mentor did not tell him that? And I told him, because it's not the mentor responsibility. You were just shown the door, but you needed to continue on your own. Listen to yourself. Start to really work through yourself. You need to stop learning more, because the more you learn, and without cleaning the vessel, which is you, it's your body, it's your heart, and it's your mind, you literally putting more stuff or new things on top of things that they're garbage now, that you need to release, that they're no longer part of you. And that's the problem with coaching. Many coaches out there, they will just tell you to do more strategies, buy another playbook, buy another seminar, another workshop, buy another video. They're going to show you how to do something quickly. They're going to show you how to grow your business. They're going to show you A, B, C, and D. And it's an ongoing thing. And I'm not against that. I'm not, because many of those things, they're very good for yourself and for your business. But when you don't clean the vessel, you're just creating chaos. You're just puking and eating it back up. That's what you're doing, because you are not willing to look at yourself in the mirror and really address yourself. And when you don't do that, anything can activate you. Anything can make you confused, because now you're putting new information with information from a couple years back, when you were a child, when you didn't understand why they reject you, when you didn't understand why you were not good enough for your parents. And you're mixing it together, and now you're confused. Now you don't understand how to even start to put it into practice, because that's what was happening to me. And so that day I decided, no more. This is it. I'm going to focus on myself. I'm going to focus on looking at the woman in the mirror and really working to my traumas. And so when we came home, I started working on breath work. I started working on meditation, reading my Bible, and I start to having a closer communication with the Creator, which He started guiding me so fluently. Like it was like natural. I was shocked because I never had a very close relationship with the Creator. And when I start to have the relationship, I start to realize that the world outside did not change because I changed that, because the world changed. The world outside changed because I was changing, because I was releasing things that they were no longer part of me. I start to realize that I can have more time for myself, that I am enough, that I don't need another workshop, that I don't need somebody else to tell me how to do it or when to do it, that I need somebody just to support me, just to be there for me. But when I start really going by what the Creator was saying, everything is start to flow. Even things that they were wrong, that I did quote unquote wrong, they were teaching moments. God, it was teaching me on what it was still there that I needed to release. And even now, I'm still working on those things. I'm still working on past traumas that they're still there, but we don't even realize they're there. Those things that they're keeping us trapped in fear, that we don't take action, that we delay things because we're waiting for somebody else to tell us that it's okay. That we wrote a talk or presentation, okay, that it's good enough, that this is how you have to do the video. And I remember when I started following every single step they gave me, I was creating confusion. I'm not saying it did not help me. It did help me. But no other human being will understand your life. It will understand your process. It will understand your traumas. Only you and God will understand that. And if you refuse to work on yourself, you refuse to have a relationship with the Creator, you're going to keep going outside. You're going to waste a lot of time, a lot of money, and maybe that's your process. Maybe that's the way God intended your process to be. And that's okay too. You just make the most of it. You learn as much as you can. But I can tell you, I went down that road and it was not good for me. I was more in pain, more fearful, and more angry. I was angry. With actually two mentors, I was angry because I felt that I wasted my time and I wasted my money. I felt that I was being bullied, that I was being discriminated, and because they saw me as somebody who is young and doesn't have money, because I do not dress as somebody who has the money. So they saw me as somebody that it doesn't even belong to the group. And that's okay. It's okay. I'm not meant for everybody. And thank God that He started walking with me, because I was able to pray and say, God bless them and bring more people to them so they can help them to see the door and guide the rest of the way of those people who the door has been open for them, and help me go through this door. Instead of being afraid, give me the courage to continue on, because walking the road without somebody, it can be painful. And I'm not saying that you should walk the road without a mentor. No, because even in the Bible, as I share, that in the Bible, Jesus had John the Baptist. Joshua had Moses. Those people, they were their mentor. Also Samuel and David. But those people did not continue with the mentor. They did not went back and say, hey, how should I do this? How should I continue on? No, the mentor just opened the door, and David and Jesus and Moses with Joshua, or Joshua just walked through and continue on, because the one who continued to walk with them, it was God. God showed them the way. God gave them directions, and God has not changed. He's the same way. But you just got to build a relationship. Stop thinking that you're separated from him. That because you were a terrible person, you're separated from him. Or because you're not good enough. Or because you don't know how to pray. Or you don't know how to talk to him, that you're separated. You're not separated. Even when you make mistakes, it's in those mistakes that God is present right there with you, because he's teaching you something. He's calling you back to him. And sometimes we believe that if we make a mistake, it's because we're not good enough. And if I'm not good enough for a human, how can I be good enough for God? But God doesn't measure us the same way as humanity, the same way as the world. God's measurement is different. And that's why when Jesus went through the process, it says that he was teaching in the temple. And the people who were in the temple, they were amazed on how he knew a lot of stuff. And that's why the Pharisees were angry with him, because they were even asking, then this is Jesus, Joseph's son? Kind of like saying, who do you think you are? I know you. I know your parents. I know your mom. I know where you came from. And you think you're going to teach me? But when God gives power, nobody can stop it. Nobody can tell you you can't do this or you can't do that, because it's not you. It's God walking in front of you. The same way David, his brothers did not believe in him. His brothers were saying, hey, you just came here to watch the fight. That's why you came here. But David did not went there for that. He was misunderstood. And he showed them that he went there to fight the fight that they were losing. David won that fight. And sometimes as students, we have to go there and fight the fight, because the Creator is with us, because the Creator is teaching us. And sometimes our mentors are losing those fights. Sometimes they can only go so far, not because they're bad people or because they don't know how to teach. It's because God showed those people to us. It's a way to showing us the door, to showing us grace, to show us how to come home to him. But only they can come to a certain part of our life. They cannot continue on. And our mistake as students is that sometimes we want our mentor to continue to be with us. The mentor has served the purpose, but we want it beyond that purpose. And as mentors, sometimes we don't let go of students because of our own wounds, of our own unhealed life, because we're afraid. We feel that we're not enough. We feel if this person goes, then now who am I going to be? Or we're afraid that the student might become more than us. So we're trying to trap them. We're trying to keep them in the same place. Even though we say, no, I want you to grow. I want you to do this. And maybe some people will get mad at me for saying this. But I have seen that over and over and over and over. And I have experienced that myself. And because I went through that, I'm telling you now, so you don't have to go through that. But at the same time, if God is meant to teach you that way, then you will go through it. You will go through that pain so you can see how the Creator will still pick you back up It will still refine you. It will still clean you up, because the longer we take to understand that the only way out or the only way back to what we want is through God, the one who created everything, the longer we take on that and making the decision, the longer the pain will be, the longer we will suffer. Not because God is punishing us, but because we wanted to inflict our own punishment. And then we blame God and say, why do you make me fall onto these hands? And we see it that the world teaches us that in order for you to teach, you have to be certified, you have to have this, you have to have that, because that's what the Pharisees basically were telling Jesus. And that's what the people in Israel were saying to David. That, and even King Saul said, you cannot be a king because he's a shepherd boy. And so we see that over and over. And in the world says you cannot teach, you cannot do this, you cannot do that, you have to have this, you have to have that in order to do these things. And those things sometimes take us to obey what the world wants for us and not what God is speaking to us. We trust more what the noise of the world is saying than what the voice of God is speaking to us. And that's where we experience the pain. And we also experience pain when we follow God. Both ways, we're going to experience pain. The difference is that on one way, you will experience pain for a short period of time. You will experience pain because you're healing yourself. You're letting go of the old you. You're letting go of what the world told you on how to do it. In letting go of that, it creates pain. Because when Jesus went through the process of Calvary, he was mugged. They hit him until they make him bleed. They spit on him. They did so many things. They shamed him. They even took off his clothes. And for us, people does the same thing. They criticize us. They shame us. They tell us that we're not good enough. And basically, we get the hit of the world. But you know what Jesus said? Take heart. I overcame the world. Meaning that don't worry about it. If you go through those things, at the end of the day, you're going to have the victory because I already paid the price. I already walk all that walk that you're walking. You already know what is going to be the outcome. So don't be afraid. I'm right here. I'm walking with you. Do not be scared. I already did the hard work. When I read that part of the scripture, I was like, oh my gosh. Sometimes we're so scared because we forget what Jesus said. We forget what God told us. He didn't tell us to do more. He just said, hey, trust me. I got you. Trust me. I'm here. I already did that and more. Because even when they put him on the cross, the people who put him on the cross, they were still poking him just to make sure you're dead. How many people, when you try to change your life, when you try to do better, they're still poking you? They're still checking and see, did she really change? We'll see. We'll see if she really changed, if she really is a different person, if that process that she went through or that he went through, it really changed him. They're checking for that. And not happy with that, they still were thinking about, hey, who's going to keep his clothes? You're going to keep it or you're going to keep it? Because when you take off the clothes that is no longer belong to you and you said, this is it. people are still want things from you. They, even though they're seeing you dying, they're seeing you going through the process, they are seeing how painful it is, they still want more stuff from you. They still want to see how much more they can get from you. And when Jesus passed away and he gave himself to the Creator, I see this in the process of healing yourself, your wounds from the past. Is that you finally said, I don't want to go through this, but your will be done. And when you finally get to that point that you're at the top of the mountain and they're putting your hands on the cross, just like they did with Jesus. And I'm not saying we are Jesus, but when you go through the process of healing, it's painful. It might not be the same as the Creator because he already paid the price. But when they're putting those nails in your heart and destroying who you used to be, what the world told you to be, when that is being destroyed, you say, Father, not my will, your will, and receive who I am. Transform who I am to who I need to be. Not for the world, not for me, but for your glory. And at that moment, that pain no longer controls you. Now, when you die, just like Jesus, and you are buried, because you're no longer are trying to show who you are, you're trying to over-explain why are you doing what you're doing, you want people to understand you. No, now you're working on yourself. Just like Jesus was in that tomb. You're not worrying about what the world is saying, how is it going, how do I get more views, how do I get more followers, how do I get more money, how do I get more clients. No, you're focused on yourself now. Because you're about to be resurrected. Resurrected to a new life. A life where you don't need to continue to fight for more. Because even when people saw Jesus come to life, they did not believe it. They thought it wasn't real and it wasn't true. Even his own followers. And Jesus said, it is me. You want to put your hands through the holes in my hand? Because he was showing, like, you don't believe this is who I am. And how many of us go through the process of healing ourselves and people don't believe us? They said, yeah, you're talking about that, but I don't believe that that's true. I don't believe that you are that way. I don't believe that you're doing this because I remember who you used to be. I remember the things that you used to do. And that's the same thing we're going through. If we really look at it, if we really read scripture and really meditate on it, we're reliving it all over again. But because we're so focused on learning more for business, learning more for this, learning more from that we don't go through the process as God is showing us how to go back to Him. And the moment you do that, you will see how everything starts to fall into place. Just as God promised. God said, put me first, and everything else, it will be added. And I can tell you that that is true. When you start putting God first, you start to see how one by one, it starts to show up. And not because you're working, not because you're trying to force things to happen, but because God saw that you are trusting Him. Because when you trust, you take actions. But those actions are coming with faith. Faith of something that you have not seen yet, but you know for sure that it will happen because that's what God promised you. And I can tell you that even things that people took from you, that is a year ago, 2 years ago, God will restore it back to you because those things were taken from you to point you back on Him, to trust on Him. And when you said, okay, those things were lost, I cannot do anything about it, I know God is in control. When you surrender to the Creator, that He's the one that is in control, everything starts to come back. I can tell you a personal experience where 2 years ago, I lost money, and it was a lot of money. And I remember being so angry, so upset that I lost that money. And every time that I remember, that anger came back. And I asked God, I said, help me not forget that I lost that money, but help me have peace and to release it and to bless the people who took that money from me and to no longer remember that moment with so much pain. And I start to feel those things after like couple of days. I start to feel God's peace. I start to feel better, and every time that I remember, it was less and less anger. And to one point that I said, you know what? If that money is lost, it's lost. Maybe those people needed more than I did. It was a lot of money, but that's okay. God will provide, and God will give me back what is mine, and it will give those people what is theirs. That's it. Because I remember my pastor said something like, when somebody does something wrong against you, don't pray for harm to them, but pray that God will give you what is yours and it will give them what is theirs. That's it. That's all you need to pray. And I remember praying that, and within a couple of days, I had a dream. And in that dream, again, I heard the voice of the Creator saying, you're about to have back what is yours. And I remember thinking, what is mine? I don't know what I lost that is mine. And I woke up with this feeling of thinking constantly that I was going to get back what is mine. And I was trying to remember what did I lost that it was mine. Because I was not even thinking about the money that I lost. And my husband came to me and said, Karen, I think we have our money back. Remember the money that you said that we lost 2 years ago? Yeah, they just reached out and said that we have the money and they just needed our account to put it back in. And I started crying because I never believed that that could have happened. For me, that money was lost. That money was gone. But not in a way that it was gone because I said it's gone in a way that I'm in pain. For me, it was gone, and God is in control. If He says it's gone, it's gone. But I realized that by surrendering to losing something and saying, you are in control, you will give me what is mine and you will give that person what is theirs. It was like saying, it's not up to me. I don't control anything. You do. So from that moment on, now whenever I do something, I'm like, I'm not in control. God is. Here recently, a woman put a comment on TikTok saying that my views went down, I lost followers, or I don't have as many followers. Basically showing that I needed to change my information, that I needed to do it more in Spanish and not in English because I'm losing viewers. And I told my husband, I'm not doing it for viewers. I'm not doing it for comments. I'm doing it because God is calling me to put this information out there for whoever needs it, for whoever is in need of being back with Him, whoever feels the calling. It's not up to me. It's not up to me. I'm not in control of everything. God is. And if God says, tonight I'm going to make the social media grow, He can make it like that. And the same way, if He says, you know what, tonight I'm going to make it crash all the way down, He can make it like that too. So I'm no longer in the trust of people, social media, or anything. And be careful. I wanted to say this, and I want you to hear it clearly. When somebody tells you, thank you, you're the best, is nobody else like you, or because of you I accomplished this, do not accept that curse, because that is a curse. When somebody says that and you do not fix that phrase. I learned that from somebody who is a pastor who explained to me what does that really mean underneath all of that. Because when we accept that, in a way that we're the ones that we created the change, we're actually saying that God, it was not there. It was not God who changed that person. It was us. We're taking the credit. But when it's the debit, we wanted to give it to God. We want God's help. But when it's about taking credit, we want to take it ourselves. And I'm going to tell you, give the debit to God, but also give Him the credit. Because we're just vessels. We're vessels where the blessing passed through to other people. We're not the ones who create the blessings. We're not the ones who do everything. One of the things that I tell the people that I coach, before I even accept them as clients, I said, do you ask the Creator? Do you ask the Creator if this was your time? Do you pray? Do you ask for His help first? Because when you ask for the Creator's help, He will appoint you the right person. And not just that, if that person is me, the Creator will give me all the tools, all the information that you need. Because now it's not just me asking for you, it's you and I asking for His guidance. And we will do amazing work whenever we're both connected to Him. But if you come to me as the person who's going to give you the solution, as the person who's going to give you the tools, then you're actually not helping me. You're making my work harder. Because we need to synchronize with the Creator. Not with me, not with another mentor, but with the Creator first, and then with the person. And many people out there, because they're afraid of not getting clients, or they're afraid of not having the right mentor, they just focus on what's in front of them. They just focus on what is here in this world. But they don't focus on the higher power, on the power that it holds everything. And I can tell you that when you focus on that power, everything else will happen, because it will say that everything else, it will be added. So if you're looking for a mentor and you don't know who can that person be, ask the Creator. And the Creator will show you who will be the right person. If you're hearing this message right now, do you think it's a coincidence? I don't believe so. I believe that God called you to be on this message right now because it's something that you're looking for. It's something that your heart desires. So a lot of times people come to me and said, I don't know why, but I felt like I needed to call you and I needed to ask you for this or I needed to ask you for that. But I always refer them back. Do you ask the Creator? Do you ask Him first? Because I can be a better help whenever you ask Him. Because it's people who has come to me that they want me to help them with their business. They want me to help them with releasing emotional pain. And I have to tell them, no, I can't help you. Because they're not ready. Because they're not ready to open up or to release their pain. And it's not the money, because I have people who said, well, I give you this amount of money. It's not the money. I used to be about the money. If you would have asked me this 2 years ago, I would have said, yeah, I take it. But in this process that I have gone through with my mentor in heaven, he has shown me that it's not about the money, that it's about doing what is right, doing what he's asking me to do. And that's why sometimes when I feel like this is too much for me, I don't want to do this, I go back into prayer and I ask him and I said, okay, I will do it because this is my mission. This is my purpose. And even recording this video, sometimes it's hard for me. Sometimes I go through this process where I'm writing everything that I feel that I'm downloading from heaven. And it's great information. But then I get scared to share it. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I should share it. I don't know if I should say this. I don't know if I should say that. And then I think and meditate and I'm like, why not? If God is giving it to me, it's because he wants to release it to his children. He wants his children to know. So it's not about not having a mentor or having a mentor. It's about you knowing first to ask the Creator and then choosing the mentor, because God, it will show you the options that you have. And then after that is releasing. Not in a way that you are upset with them or that you say, hey, you know what? I don't care no more about your teachings. I'm going to go away. No. But in a way that you wanted to have a communion with God, and in a way that you're grateful for the people who show you the door. I can tell you, I'm so grateful for the mentors that I have. And I pray for them that God will continue to guide their lives. It will continue to bless them, to continue to give them wisdom, because they help me tremendously to understand things that I did not know about myself, but they were able to see it and point it out and say, this is what's going on with you. This is how you can do it better. Just like Samuel did it with David. Just like Moses did it with Joshua. And I'm forever thankful for those people. I'm thankful that God gave them the life to be in this planet at the same time as me, for them to guide me to the door, to guide me to where I'm going to meet the Creator, and on the end, become the student of the Creator. The one he is actually instructing me on what I'm going to do every day and how to address life. So if you don't have a mentor, find you one. Find the one that it aligns with your values. Find the one that it really cares about you more than he cares about the money, more than he cares about influence, more than he cares about selling you another playbook, another product, but really focuses on you. Focuses on you being close to God, for you to see your door, to really walk through it. And you as a student, focus on going through the door and at the same time, hold on to the hand of the Creator and be thankful for the life that is showing you that door. And if you want to continue on in mentorship, you can, because having a mentor is not necessarily bad. It's bad when you make it as the source, and the source is in heaven. When you make another human being your source, you're shorting yourself. You're making your blessing shrink. You're making it smaller because God wants to give you so much more, but you're thinking small and you're putting your trust on another human being. Place your trust on God and He will give you everything you ever needed, everything you ever wanted. And if you want to continue on mentorship, continue on, but not because it's a need. It's a desire that you have because you want to build community, because you want to help others, because you want to be part of something bigger that it has purpose. Not because you're in a need of more knowledge, or you're in a need of somebody telling you what to do, or you're in a need of somebody helping you make decisions. You already know what is the decision. God already placed it in your heart. Stop looking outside and look on yourself. Look inside. Inside your heart, right there is the answer. And you are the key. So stop trading your key for someone else's key, for someone else's door, for someone else's blessing. And be the blessing for someone else. Guide other people the same way you were guided, or even better. Guide more people to walk closer to the Creator, to achieve their dreams, to achieve their desires. But more than anything, to achieve that desire to be closer to the Creator. I hope this episode, it was not too harsh or did not make somebody upset. And if I did, sorry, not sorry, because that's what I believe. That is my truth. And I will see you on the next episode. Yellow diamonds in the